Brothers and sisters, welcome back to my channel. So today, I have an insane news for all the guys that are waiting for the Fire King support to come out with the Bonfire and Populous. First of all, I would like to shout out Mario. Mario created a spreadsheet with all the possible combination and combos with Populous, 1 card combo, 2 card combo, 3 card combo, play around the Ribeiro, play around Roll and Lockbird, play around your family tree. That's actually insane. So, what I would love to do today is having a discussion about the deck itself, the combo route. I'm gonna show to you guys some combo routes, and then discussion about the different ratios, how to build a deck, which engine is probably the most suited for the TCG environment, and how the deck changes without Maxi being involved. Is this the best deck? Is this sub-engine tier 0? Is it gonna be tier 0 in the TCG? Well, we're gonna discover it today, and welcome Mario to
Hello.
the stream.
Hey everybody, welcome. My name's Mario Young. Yeah.
So first of all,
So,
let me share. You're looking at my screen. First of all, let's talk about the spreadsheet that I'm gonna pin obviously in the YouTube video. And so in order to show to everyone how to play properly this deck, would you give us an introduction about your spreadsheet and how to read it? Because there is a lot of stuff.
okay, all right, certainly. First off, the spreadsheet you have to go up for the intro, and then at the intro there's like all this different terminology and stuff that you can kind of, I personally use just to shorten the combos a bit when you're trying to explain things. So if you're on mobile, like you'll see these tabs on mobile on the above of your sheet. They're telling you like which play that you actually start with, like primary play. So for instance, if you're starting with Ponix as your normal summon, then you just click the tab that says Ponix normal summon, and then it'll show you all these different various boards and what you can dodge, what you can't dodge, like what you might need in your extra dock, yada yada yada. But if you're on the browser, then it's going to be on the tabs are going to be like below the sheet. So like there's Ponix normal summon, Diabell plus send, Ash normal summon, Bonfire, Populous normal summon, etc. etc. So just for instance, so if you have like Diabell in whatever card in your hand, so you can just click on the Diabell plus send, and it'll show you all these routes here. Same thing. So Ash, if you have Snake Ash in your hand and you want to be normal summoning that as your opening starter, then you just click on the Snake Ash normal summon. It's very easy. So.
Now, after the introduction to the spreadsheet, I will take a sample size of the deck list, right? I will take just a deck list that we all seen around. The flex spot are gonna be just normal monsters, so Moki. We don't really care about those. And we're gonna have actually a discussion about the different ratios, and we're gonna have a discussion about how to adapt certain combos from the OCG to the TCG. The first thing that I would like to discuss would be, do we play Baron in the main deck? Like, do you think, like, after building this spreadsheet, after going through the different patterns, after going through the different combos, I saw many people having Baron. I saw in the OCG, people are not playing Baron. So after going through all of those combos, right? Do you think that Baron comes up enough in order to justify the presence in the main deck?
No, Post feed, you don't need to run Baron at all. But probably during the weeks after Maze of Millennium when Bonfire comes out and before pre-feed, there is like a line that you can go through that Baron might be worth it. It's called the Admiral Candle line. If you click on the Products Normal Summon tab and scroll all the way down, right here it says Ponix Normal Summon Bonfire
Okay,
Bonfire.
so we go to Ponyx normal summon, and you're saying all the way down.
Yes, all the way down, and you see like Ponix, normal summon, bonfire
Mm-hmm.
in this section.
Yes.
Then right here, there is one particular line that Baron might be worth considering, but you have to have Admiral Candle in your deck, and Admiral Candle is not that good, but, but it's just an option to consider just during the weeks before Phantom Nightmare. So
Now, do you think that
yeah,
post Phantom Nightmare? Because I want to have the discussion post Phantom Nightmare. To
yeah.
be honest.
Yeah, absolutely not. You don't need Baron post Phantom Nightmare at all. So the lines are very varied enough there where you don't need to use Baron. And there's also a card if you want. Excuse me. If you want to like have some sort of like ST negate in the deck, there is two cards that you can use. It's called Dramatic Chase. They got Dramatic Chase, and I think it's called Silvera or something like that, which you can fetch off Diabell or Populous. You can set it up that way to have an ST negate add to your board, but just Baron by herself and then having Jet Synchron and then all that other jazz, then nah, you don't need Baron. Like the lines is just too varied and your extra deck is just too full that you don't need it. So
Okay, so you think that Baron is not like Baron post Phantom Nightmare is not needed because there are so many wide lines that you can go for. You can already play around stuff.
yeah, it's not needed.
There is another thing actually. There is something that I was testing, and I'm very curious about your opinion about this card because I thought it was broken in order to play around stuff. Because when I was testing the deck, I felt like, how is this card not super broken? I was testing the Divine Temple of the Snake Eye. The Divine Temple of the Snake Eye was helping me to have more access to the Flambers, and it's something that I could search with Populous, and because I thought that every time that I was doing test ends, and I had already Populous access, or I was opening with the Wanted, right? I felt my end to be super redundant. So in order to cut this redundancy, I thought like playing a second target or play something that I could search with Populous so I could set the Snake Eye original Sinful Spoil with the Black Witch. Because the Black Witch can only set the Sinful Spoil while the Populous can also search for a Snake Eye spell or trap, which in this case is the Divine Temple of the Snake Eye. And I thought that like having this card was cutting off this sort of redundancy.
I've tried it during my testing before I was doing all this testing with Snake Eye. With Fire King. I was testing the Snake Eye Pure deck, and it come up very very much in that deck. But the fact that you're running Island in Fire Kings, it kind of conflicts with that because after you like use the field spell, the Snake Eye field spell. You set your Snake Eye on the ST zone with the Snake Eye field spell, and it goes away the moment after you continue your combo because you have to put Island up and then continue your Fire King line.
Yes.
So and then you kind of just lose like half the value of the Snake Eye field spell because it has that other effect where similar to Flues, where if your opponent normal summons or summons a monster, you can special summon something from your ST zone. If you're not But in order to do that, you have to have that Snake Eye field spell. But you kind of like, for instance, excuse me, I'm just a little nervous. But
no, don't worry, brother.
Okay.
I'm always nervous. No one complains about it.
Okay, so yeah, so when you read that field spell while playing an island, you pretty much like lose half the reason that you're using the Snake Eye field spell in the first place. Like mine is just setting the ST zone. You don't get benefit off like the other effect of the Snake Eye field spell. So I don't think it's okay if you're trying to like maximize like Snake Eye Populous and make sure to like set up and then add something else on the line. But I don't feel that it's necessary, to be honest, in the deck post fee. So it's okay. Like I have been testing with it. I just don't think it's like my opinion. I just don't think it's enough. Good enough. Let me put it that way. So
okay, so we said that Barong is not needed. Candle is not needed because basically It's something that we would use before Phantom Nightmare. And that, I wanna go back on this Divine Temple. I'm gonna leave this card in the side deck because I have some good points to show you probably later on, guys. If you see the vanilla monsters in the deck, is because like those are flex spots. So another thing, the amount of ponics into the deck. We saw so many people in China, Japan, Taiwan playing 1, 2, but like we never go back on 3 cause of obviously the bonfire, because do you actually need it at 3? But like, why did people cut it at 1? Like, can you justify yourself the presence of Ponyx at 1?
Yes, you can. Yep. The reason why it was cut as 1 is because it was kind of redundant. It's your worst normal summon in the deck by far. Like the normal summon that you want to go off is Snake Eye Ash, and then at that point, what's that Ponyx in your hand going to do? I mean, you're just going to sit there in your hand. So, like, you're committed to the Snake Eye Ash normal summon so much in this deck that you kind of just don't need that Ponyx that much. So. Yeah.
Okay, so at that point then we already spoke about the presence of the Snake Eye Ash, which needs to be a 3-off. The Oak, you already explained it. It serves for some certain routes in order to play around also Entrops, as I saw from your spreadsheet, which also sets this card as a main deck stone, right? So right now we have 1 Garonix because we need it at least at 3. We need 3 Kirin. I think we didn't talk about the presence of 3 Kirin, but I think it's very self-explanatory for everyone who tried at least 1 time the deck, because you recycle through Kirin a lot. And also opening the card is basically dodges impermanence and Veiler, and it's very good generally speaking, right?
Yeah, it is. It's very good to have in hand. So,
Okay,
yeah.
Arbata plays around Entrops, and also it's a very good reborn. It has a reborn effect. There are some lines to play around Nibiru that we're gonna show later on during this discussion. 1 Ponyx because it's the worst normal summon by far in the deck. 3 Ash because it's the best normal summon by far in the deck, and 1 Oak in order to play around stuff. Now let's talk about the presence of Populus. Now, this card is like, do you wanna open this card?
You kind of don't, to be honest. It's the second best normal summon in the deck. You want to have Populus in your deck by all means. That way you can play off Bonfire and then you can play off Snake Eye Ash. But if you open the Populus, you can normal summon it in times if your hand is not that good and you don't have really anything else. You could summon Populus and then you can combo off that way. I don't kind of advise that though, because that actually restricts your options in case something goes awry. So if they Nibiru, if they Dro, for instance, if they Dro on your Populus, there's not really much you could do afterwards. By looking over here, as you can see, my Populus normal summon lines on my spreadsheet is still work in progress. So there is a play that you can do if you normal summon Populus and it gets Droed, but it's still a work in progress. I'm still trying to get everything together. So.
Due Little Chimera. What's that?
Oh, it's just some weird link to I was testing a while back. There's some
this one.
There's some very interesting lines where you could use Doolittle Chimera, but it's not very much worth it at the moment, in my opinion.
I see, because you utilize it with the circle. You pop it and then you add back from the grave.
Yeah, it's not with circle, but it's what happens is that if you use Doolittle Chimera and if you pop it with, let's say, Island, and then you add Ponyx to your hand with that Doolittle Chimera, then you can like chain Ponyx, especially summon that Ponyx from your hand and stuff. It's very funky, but in my opinion, in the extra deck space post fee is so tight now that I can't find room to fit like the little Chimera, Pit Knight, or all this other cool tech that I would like to run. It's just too tight for me for the extra deck now, so I kind of just dropped it because of that. So
okay,
but I'll just keep it on my street just in case somebody wants to see it. So
thank you. So going back to the routes of Populus, right? Do you feel like would it be justified to play this card as a one-off?
It could be. It could be justified to play as a one of. If I see that, like, if somebody's asking me, "Hey, Rowan, can you look over this deck?" and I see Populous at a one, I'm not going to say anything because I feel like that's okay. It's not. If it's budget regions, because I know this card is going to be secret rare when it comes
No,
out.
no,
We
I'm
all
talking
know that.
about like competitively speaking. Like, do you feel
Yeah.
like this card can be a one-off? Because it's like, you said that, right? You don't want to open this card. And if you open
Yeah.
it, like, it's fine. And if you open it with a bonfire, like, there are some lines in which you can directly just search Oak, maybe pitch this Populous for a Witch, and then you still go Oak to rebond the Populous. Like, I feel like, does the one-off of this card just in your main deck, it's it a lot. I feel like, is that so bad to play it as a one-off? Like, or do you need two because there is a specific setup in which you have to go Snake Eye Ash, tribute itself, go for Oak, tribute itself, go Flamberge, and maybe you need the second Populous later on.
If just to go for your standard general lines first turn, you kind of don't need the second Populous, but for a grind game, like an extended grind game, you kind of do, because a lot of times post-feed is your Populous is going to end up getting banished by some weird card like Soul Release or SP or.
But then you have
whatever
Oak,
does.
right? Because Oak can summon it back, or you can like add it back. That's
Yeah,
why I like Oak.
Yeah, Oak could do that. You could add some of it back, but sometimes you might want to add something else too. Yeah, but yeah, like I said, yeah, I think one could be justified. Two, right now, it's been going back and forth between me. I feel like one's good. I feel like two's good. So right now, I was just stick with this two ratio because, like I said, it's not. It's a really good normal summon. Like Populous will play by itself almost as fine as Ash can, but it does have its intricacies, and you rather would see it in the deck. So, for instance, you don't want to have open your Ash and then Populous in the same hand. If you only want one Populous, you don't want to do that. So that's where I feel like two could come in. That way, you can always make sure Populous is in your deck when you try to use Bonfire or you try to use like Snake Eye Ash normal summon. That way, you have a target in the deck so you could use.
So if we have to set in stone, we can tell that one Populous is enough, but two might be correct.
Yeah, pretty much. Like one is enough, but two is probably just the more correct number in my opinion. So,
okay. Now talking about obviously the Flamberge at that point, we don't need to discuss about it. It's mandatory.
Yeah, it's mandatory. You have to run one. So
okay. Then 3 Bonfire, I think there is enough of a discussion about this card. You add Snake Eye Ash, which is basically the main starter of your deck, which is mandatory.
Yes, but there is a thing I want to touch on about Bonfire and Wanted in general, is that you could flip-flop. 6 is the most optimal number of competitive by far. But if you want to try to save space in your deck, or if it's for budget reasons, like you see how much Wanted is right now. For budget reasons, you could run 2 Wanted and 3 Bonfire and get away with that. Or you could run 3 Wanted and 2 Bonfire and get away with that too as well. But you just want to have, 6 is the best number by far, but you just do want to have at least 5 or more in your deck. So between those two.
Okay. We're gonna go over the Wanted stuff in a second. 1 for 1, I think it's insane. Do you share the same feeling with me, or do you think like 1 for 1 is something that you don't need to play?
I don't feel like you need to play 1 for 1 at the moment. So unless you're on like a budget reason, then you kind of don't need 1 for 1, because Bonfire serves all your needs and Wanted serves all your needs as well.
But 1 for 1 gives you that Oak that because basically this deck has doesn't have a several amount of pushes, right? Like it has some pushes, like you can count the amount of pushes that this deck can perform. But like the 1 for 1 giving you the Oak, I feel like that going second or even going first through end traps serves a lot.
Yeah, but the thing with 1 for 1 just by itself is that if it gets ashed, you're kind of just SOL with -1. So and I just don't feel like it's needed post-feed, because you just have so much ways to get into Oak and get into Ash and then to get things started. And I just feel like it's just, at that point, having a 1 for 1 as well in the deck, it kind of is redundant. So you could use it, but I feel like it's kind of redundant at that point. So you can probably just fit in something else like another hand trap or something like at that point. So
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, it is crazy good. Don't get me wrong, it is crazy good post fee, but I feel like it's also a little bit redundant. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why when we were talking about the redundancy of the deck, I was going with the Divine Temple. After that, I'm gonna show you one of my attempt to the deck list. But like now we are gonna, I mean, obviously one original Sinful Spoil, and then we can talk about Circle. Talking about Circle, we have also to compare it with another card that's Fire King Skyburn. Now, I feel like that by playing this low amount of Fire Kings, the Skyburn feels less necessary, while the Circle also kinda interacts with your Snake Eye because it requires a general fire. But what's your opinion on the matter?
I actually kind of agree with that. Lately, it's like as you cut down on your Fire King's cards, your Skyburn becomes less good because you're not running that many Fire King's cards. But however, with Circle, you can use it with Snake Eye Ash, Snake Eye, whatever Snake Eye on the field, and then you can continue that way. And plus, it serves as the OTK tool, yada yada yada, and it extends there just in case something goes array and something like that. So or RI, excuse me, just in case.
So you share
But
the
yeah.
same feeling on this card?
Yeah, absolutely share the same feeling on this card. So
Okay.
yeah,
I'm gonna go with the Abella Star before, and then we're gonna go on the island because I have some wild take on the island. Prepare yourself. Actually.
okay.
So, the Abella Star Black Witch, right? Like we say that there is a lot of redundancy in this deck, and it does almost the same. Like it's a worse populus if you don't get trolled, right?
Right.
Okay, but if you get trolled, you wanna open this over populus. Or you want to have this as extender post like you get trolled on populus.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay.
So do you feel like you need only one witch, or could we potentially increase the number of witches? Because we could have 3 wanted, 3 witches, another target. That's why I was playing the Divine Temple. And then and basically open like a way to populus plus witch plays around everything.
I feel like one witch is 3 witch is probably pushing it because then you're at that point you're probably like just opening doubles of witches and wanteds and all that jazz. You probably don't need all those witches. 2 is a good number as well. I feel like that's also good. Yeah, an also good number if you do have the 2 witches at hand. You could probably run that. I'm not going to say anything if I see a deck with 2 witches in it. 1 witch, I feel like that's probably like the most optimal right now. But in the case of like bestials or whatever, I could see 2 witches as well. So 1 for 2 witches, in my opinion, is fine. Think about that. Yeah, excuse me, let me add about that. The thing about witches is that it's like it's very similar to 1 for 1 in my opinion, because witch you have to use that sin first off to like to get witch on the board that way, and that's neg 1 right there. Then when you search OSS or whatever, then yeah, when you search OSS, that's how you benefit third party hand traps, like other stuff you can fit in your deck. So
okay, so you think that like this ratio 1-3 is a good ratio, and I think would you set it in stone, like 3 wanted 1 witch right now as something that you have to play?
Witch buff, you do have to play witch. There's no question about that. But the number of witches you play, it kind of varies on what you feel is most important, in my opinion. Do you feel like your witches going off is the most important? Then yeah, you want to play with 3 witch. But if you don't, and it doesn't. However, if you're running like a card like Snake Eye Dramatic Chase or something like that, it gives you an extra target to use with witch, then 2 might be considered. Like, it just really depends on what you feel is a bit more necessary amount. So I personally just feel like 1 is the most necessary. It's fine. You can get away with 1, and then you can cycle it and stuff like that. That way you can fit in whatever else. So just trying to. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And now we're gonna go over the one that the cards that you actually mentioned, Dramatic Chase, and then there is also the Sinful Spoils of Betrayal, right? We saw the OCG deck in China City Tour, right? Like I think it was Chengdu winning with the Chase and with the Silvera. Now, when I saw this deck list, I was like, seems like this guy, I think, has a deep understanding of the deck, because he was playing on 43 because he has a lot of starters.
Yes.
And in order to balance the amount of starters and to balance the amount of starters, he increased his deck number to 43. But there were those two cards that actually captured my attention, which are the Chase and the Silvera. Because he was playing those in order to cut all the redundancy of the deck. You testing the deck, you doing the spreadsheet, like, did you feel like those cards are needed?
I feel like some sort of extra Snake Eye spell and trap to search is needed, because a lot of times when you're going through the lines and stuff, you might summon Diabell first off, and then you get your OSS, and then during the line you summon Populous, but then you don't have like nothing else in your deck to search. So Dramatic Chase is a good just to set up Diabell back in the ST zone, but at that point you probably won't get you won't. All right, if you set up like with Diabell with Dramatic Chase in the end phase, if you set up Diabell with Dramatic Chase, then you try to special summon her, the Diabell, at that point, at the end phase, then you won't get Silvera, if you're trying to see what I'm trying to say, because you already used that Diabell that turn to search OSS. That way, and then you might feel like that's not that good, because then Silvera's still up in your deck and you can't get it in.
Yeah, it doesn't really fix the redundancy, what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
like,
that doesn't fix. Dramatic Chase in optimal hands doesn't really fix the redundancy, but in suboptimal hands, it kind of does help, because Dramatic Chase just by itself sets up this Diabell and ST zone and Silvera. If you don't go for Diabell at all during that turn when you're trying to set up, it'll set up this Silvera by itself, and then you have an ST negate on your opponent's turn or whatever, some sort of Omni negate, quote unquote, to use. So also another card you might consider to use besides Dramatic Chase and Silvera if you don't like it, and that's Subversion. Snake Eye, I think it was Sinful Foil's Subversion of Snake Eye. I don't know, but it's something like that.
This one, Subversion, or the Startlings?
Yeah, that's one right here. Yeah. Oh no, not the trap one. It's the normal spell.
Normal spell.
This is actually really good. I mean, it's one card you can put in your deck. It's good going second. You can put get rid of it. Baits interrupts going second. It doesn't really do much going first. Nothing, but it's really good going second. So you can just set up whatever interrupts. You can also get that off of Diabell or Populous. So
okay,
I'm going to have to say Subversion, to be honest. As much as I've been harking on Silvera and Dramatic Chase, Subversion just comes just a nice little extra target I have by searching for Populous. You don't need to run it. You can opt to run Dramatic Chase and Silvera. I just feel like Subversion is just generally a better card. So it was
very interesting to me. It was those cards were very, very interesting to me, because this was probably the first attempt that I saw in the OCG in order to fix this sort of redundancy, and I thought it was nice to see that people also recognize this sort of redundancy, because I recognized it when I was testing as first time the deck without knowing anything. And now we're gonna go on the hot topic.
Okay.
Because I think Island sucks, but I'm not saying Island sucks in the sense of Island might be good if you search it. I think Island sucks ass. I think this card is horrible to draw, and going second I can understand it, that the card is okay, but going first, this card on its own, if you don't open double Fire King does absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I can understand that. It is kind of pretty bad. Yeah, I can agree with you there. Mm.
So am I tripping? Because I see people telling me, yo, Nash, Highland is nice going second, Island is good, Island is Perlereno. I'm like, brother, what you smoking? Like, give me the number of your pusher. Because if you think this card is Perlereno, like, you're going crazy right now.
Right.
Like I really dislike opening this card. But I think like you need it. Like, do you think that the 2-2 ratio or the 3-2 ratio that the OCG is doing, we also saw 1-1 in some situation, is it needed? Like, do you think like, can you play 1-1?
You could actually play 1-1 and get away with that. But for grind, I think the most optimal ratio for grind and competitively right now is 2 island and 1 sanctuary post fee. So everybody, it's been as the OCG metagame develops right now. Post fee over there, it was 2 island, 2 sank. But then as their metagame developed, they cut down the sank to just 1, and then island just 2.
So like, why the second island over the second sanctuary? Obviously, like it's almost self-explanatory, but like sanctuary is better to open than island. So why the second island?
It's just a little bit better for grind because if you for instance, if you send island with your Snake Eye, Ash, or OSS or whatever, then you still have that second island in the deck to search with Ponics and something like that. So right now the redundant card is actually Sanctuary because you Island is terrible too in itself, but Sanctuary it kind of just a does nothing card. It just sits there and it's the worst interruption by far. You have to have like 2 Fire King, specific Fire Kings on board and stuff in order to go into Garnix and stuff like that. And it's just really not that good. Island is bad too, don't get me wrong, but let me put this, it's not as bad as Sanctuary is. Like, you do want to see Sanctuary when you're going first or something like that, or going second to set up, but outside of that, you don't actually need it anymore. So, yeah. The issue right now is Sanctuary.
Okay, so I'm not tripping. Tell me I'm not tripping when I say that I don't like this card. But like, you have to play it. And also because
you have to play it.
Like, and also because on his own with any other Fire King, if you don't open 2, like, it doesn't do a lot.
It really doesn't. No, it just sits on your board and not do much. It just continues popping cards. But it does have that little nifty second effect that if you do open your Garnix or Ponics, then you could special summon that from your hand and get that going. I mean, it does have that. A lot of players ignore that effect, but it does have that there. So
Okay. I mean, that
it's
was
still bad. It's still bad. Don't get me wrong, but it is there, so to make it less bad. But
okay. Now there is another hot topic, right? Because I saw your combos. I mean, some of them, right?
yeah,
And also I studied the OCG. There is an issue. The issue is that during most of your combos, especially if you are playing the Snake Eye Oak, you won't have the Sanctuary on the board. So if we don't have Sanctuary on the board, do we really need the Garunix Xyz in the extra deck?
oh, you don't actually. So you really don't actually need it. If you're not, Garnix is kind of getting more and more redundant as time goes on in the OCG, simply due to the fact that a lot of times you're going to end up using your one Sanctuary to send off Ash to dodge Nibiru and stuff like that. And at that point, your Garnix ain't going to be doing much. So, yeah, going second, it's not too bad though to still have. People who aren't in OCG are still running the 1 of Garnix, but it's starting to get less redundant as their metagame over there develops. I'm seeing that as I watch the list. So
by testing the deck, there is only one situation in which the Garunix Eternity came up to me. and it was
Yeah.
actually going second, because if I have my Sanctuary on the board and my opponent has his own Sanctuary on the board, when I commit into a line with Garonix and like Arvatar and Born Kirin, if he goes for his own Sanctuary in order to Xyz, and he summons the Xyz, I can go also on my own Sanctuary to Xyz in chain to the Garonix Eternity in order to summon my Garonix Eternity, and when his Garonix Eternity pops my Garonix Eternity, I float the same number of body in order to go then later on into Anita. Like, that was the only situation in which actually the Xyz came in handy to me.
Yeah, but then you have to value if that situation comes up as enough where it warrants just running that one Garnix. So right now, I've actually been flip flopping from dropping one Garnix completely from my extra deck and just running just one. So it just does not come up for me going second is not bad, but just does not just come up for me going first often at all. So.
Okay, but then there is another thing, because by watching the deck profiles, right, I see Typhoon in the extra deck. I feel like every time I'm going Typhoon, I already lost the game. It's like, am I actually doing Typhoon for some sort of reason? Is it actually helping me in any sort of shape? When I'm actually doing it when I'm literally out of gas, and my opponent already went for a full recovery board, and once I summon this card, I know I'm losing the next turn. Is there any situation in which the Typhoon would come in handy, in your opinion?
There's only one specific situation where Typhon might come in, and that's against Dragoon. If you're going against a branded deck and then they end up going to Dragoon and stuff like that, then Typhon might come up, because Typhon just single-handedly outs Dragoon by itself. But other than that, Typhon is pretty much are you someone when you know you're about to lose, in my opinion.
Oh, wait a second. Do we have any Auto Dragon? The Phoenix, I think. Maybe Raging Phoenix, Zenalantis into Raging Phoenix. That's it. Do we have any other way to out Dragoon, actually? Yeah, Zenalantis outs it. Okay.
You could use Raging Phoenix once it's attacked, just to run it over. Yes, you could use that. Or if you still run an access code in Selene, you can use access code to just destroy by battle that way. But just trying to get it off the field by effect, there's really not much you could do. So go ahead, yeah.
So you think that the Garonix is definitely not mandatory and it's something that you can easily cut?
Yeah, it's not mandatory at all. So you could cut it. I could still warrant one copy of the deck, but for general purposes, I could see it being cut down the line or it's not run at all. So. Yeah.
Okay, so we already have outs to Dragoon, because you can go Zelanantis, you can go maybe Raging Phoenix boost, we can go Arches Code attack if we wanna do it. Talking about the Arches Code, Selene and Access Code. Many people start cutting it from the extra deck. Many people are playing instead the second Bestower. What do you think?
I actually have made this big old comment post about the pros and cons of Zelantis and Raging Phoenix compared to Access Code and Selene and our Fire King discard. But in my opinion, I think for general purposes, I think right now the Zelantis and Raging Phoenix is just the better option. Just to go into it, it covers just a bit more while also having that little OTK potential, and it flows a bit more naturally in the deck because you're constantly cycling through Princess and stuff, and then while Princess is being cycled, you kind of don't have no room to be summoning Selene and stuff like that. So, but if you could running both of them though, Selene does come up in times if you just want to just out a big body with Selene access code. For instance, if your opponent has the new Silent Forcer card, that one dude, the big one that while it has no Vox on the field, it becomes like a 4K beater. So yeah, then that might could come up. Just have them going into access code, so you can just run over that and just get rid of that. So, right now I've seen some lists that's running both in OCG, both access code and Selene, and Raging Phoenix and Zelantis. I've seen some lists in OCG that's cut Selene and access code. But the constant I've seen so far is that they always have at least Raging Phoenix and Zelantis in the extra deck.
Because what I'm doing right now, like if I cut Typhon, right? Like I can cut easily. I can cut Typhon. I can cut the Garonix. I can just play Access Code. Like there is space. You just have to decide. Like there is space if I really want to do it. And one last question over the extra deck, because I think Zelanantis, the Zelanantis package, I really like it. I think it's super good. I know it's.
I love it myself. It's really good.
I think it's super good. Like feels like you can OTK through everything, because the Zelanantis second effect in order to pop to during the battle phase is like dopamine. The second bestower,
it's stylish too. I love it. So.
Yeah, the second bestower, I think it's not mandatory, but I feel like if I'm cutting on engine, like if I'm playing one Ponix, if I'm playing one Garonix, like the second bestower like just comes in handy, like during the grind games and stuff, because one, you use it when you go first, the second one you can use it on turn 3. Maybe there is a line that you want to go over the Arbata that we're gonna show in a second, the Nibiru line. And the second one also comes in handy for that, which in my opinion doesn't really set it in stone as a mandatory option, but I think it's nice to have the second copy.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Mm-hmm.
The access code talker, it's something that I really don't see myself going into a lot of the time, but like I don't think it's bad to have it. Most likely it's not even access code that I really care about. It's more about Selene. I think Selene into Apollosa is something that might come up more often than just going Selene into access code, which makes Selene, in my opinion, one of the cards that I really want to have in my extra deck, and also threats the Apollosa line more often.
I agree. I mean, if your opponent is also on Diabell Star as well, you could I agree with that. Like you could use Dark to summon their Diabell Star and then go into Selene and stuff like that, and then I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Then the access code can be actually in the side options, like in the cards that you could put in your main deck options. That's what the side is for. And obviously, just to remember my chat, why there are so many vanilla, those are flex spots. Like you can put entraps. Okay. Okay, so the other thing is Apollosa. Apollosa is a very good extra. It is mandatory, even though it kinda hints into talent during the line that you wanna go Apollosa for. I think it's mandatory because it's good. It's a very good option. There are some lines that actually threatening going to Apollosa makes your opponent throwing entraps, and the moment in which Apollosa becomes not standardized, or when your opponent becomes more familiar, this card will slowly maybe disappear from the deck when people will start to learn the deck. But right now, I think it's mandatory to have in the extra deck, because threatening the line into Apollosa, going directly into Apollosa into some lines, actually punishes your opponent for not knowing everything about your deck.
Correct, yes. Mm-hmm.
Umblo Whale, we saw some lists actually without Umblo Whale, but I think the floating effect and also the fact that it doesn't think into talents makes this card actually mandatory in the extra deck, in my opinion. What do you think about it?
Yeah, it's mandatory because other than you need to have some sort of link to link Princess off with. Yes, there's Raging Phoenix, but there's Wolf you can go into. But Ambluel, he's just let me put it this way, he's just a really good in piece. Like you just drop him down and he just nice to have there. So a top off card, that's what I meant to say. He's a very good top off. Yeah. So
also if you don't mind, like I'm giving my opinion before than you, because I feel like you are more expert. So if I didn't add anything, like if I didn't add something that you would like to talk about, that's why I give you the second talk about the card, because so you you can go deeper into the discussion of the card.
I'm about to come up about. I do have some words to say about Heat Soul though when you come up to that. So
right now, okay. So Heat Soul is it was more prevalent in OCG before because people were doing headboard with Heat Soul. I find myself going less and less into Heat Soul, except for some scenario. But I feel like is this card really mandatory, except for the time in which you just go for a 2 material Apollosa instead of a 3 material Apollosa?
Right now, I do not think this Heat Soul right now is mandatory at all. Like, in fact, post feed, it's really on my low list right now. the issue with Heat though is that you get the one jaw and then in your land you get the one jaw and then it links off into something else and then that's it. I mean, yeah, you could revive it with Amblewell next turn and get the other draw, but it's not at worth it at that point. And then another issue with Heat Cell is that by the time you're able to make it like to top your board off with, you're probably going to win that game. So if and in that virtue, it kind of feels like it's a win more card. So it's not like the card. Let me put it. It's not that good or necessary in the deck. It's a really good top off, but if you're topping off of this card at the end of your play, then you're probably going to win that game anyway. So it's.
So you think it's not
That's
as
not-
necessary as people think it is?
It's not, especially post feed. No, you can drop this card for something else. Right now in my deck, personally, I dropped it just for running Nightmare Phoenix because Phoenix actually came up more often than ESO did. So,
Why do you think, why Phoenix comes up more?
Anti-spell fragrance. Anti-spell fragrance right now in the OC is running rapid in that air. So if my prediction goes correct in TCG kind of adapts anti-spell fragrance to their metagame as well, Phoenix is probably going to become a mainstay in the extra deck as well. So it's right now it just comes up. And besides, you're not running any ST main decks. If minus Skyburn, if you're on that, but and then just having Phoenix in the extra deck just comes in handy in case you need it. And plus it's fire too, and you can summon it with Sacred Garnix and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay, I don't think we need to talk about Dark and Hita because those are like the most flexible cards in order to going second as well. It's like very handy against the mirror. Dark is very good if the opponent has the Diabellastar and everyone is gonna have those Diabellastar engine. Sunlight Wolf, I think we don't need to discuss about it because there are so many lines that include the Sunlight Wolf and and rightfully so the price of Sunlight Wolf skyrocketed. I think Nightmare Phoenix was a very nice addition to your speech because makes sense because actually we are following the OCG, we are following what's happening in the OCG, and people are gonna take kind of the same routes over the deck, which also means that we are gonna evolve faster into those developed game states in which people are gonna go or environments in which people are gonna side the anti-spell fragrance in order to counter pick options, and basically like we're gonna grow faster into this meta game and reach the same level of the OCG on what's happening right now. SP, do you feel like one SP is enough or a second copy?
It depends on how one is mandatory. Yeah, of course, one SP is mandatory. But the second copy could come up in grind. But the thing is then at that point you have to consider space because you only have like one ED space you can clear, and that point might be Anima, like relinquished Anima. Right now in OCG, pretty much everybody's on relinquished Anima, but as I'm starting to see, people are starting to play around relinquished Anima, and it just does not come up as often. Yeah, you could use it to go into Dark or something like that, just to have a link just on board. But then
Link Kuribo, no?
Yeah, well, there's Link Kuribo for that. Just if you want to use, if you need a link to go into Dark or SP or something like that, there's Link Kuribo. You can just use that. Yeah, people are starting to play around Anima, and then at that point, the 2 SP could come up in your extra deck. You can drop Anima for the second SP. If you want to keep the Anima, then you can just run 1 SP and then 1 Anima. So that's how I feel about SP right now. I
feel like the last slot. Do you feel like which card should take the last slot? Should it be Itzol, Access Code Talker, Typhoon, Garonix? Or maybe the second SP?
In my opinion, in that extra deck, I will probably put just the access code in. Yeah, I will put access code in. So
you think it's necessary more? Like, you feel like there are some situations in which you are going access code over the Zelanantis?
Yeah, because it's just nice to have an on-demand beat, like a huge beater. Because if you need that 5.3k to go into, it's always there in your extra deck to go into. The thing is about the Zealantis, Raging Phoenix is that you have to go. It's very
Demanding.
convoluted in order.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very convoluted and demanding to try to get Raging Phoenix into a very high attack stat. With access code there, you just need to just go into it, and then there you go, 5.3k on board. To as many pops as you want, depending on how many links you have in your extra deck. So I mean, in your graveyard. But yeah.
I mean, there are, like, if you play the Celine package, then you're gonna have like 3 pops, like it's dark, fire, and light, most likely.
Yeah.
You're gonna have maximum 3 pops. So
Oh.
okay, now let's
Yeah.
talk about mandatory entraps. Mandatory. Ash Blossom, because we play, and we're gonna choose the Fiti Ash because I'm weird. So it's gonna be Fiti Ash because we are playing the Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, right? Then we have Droll, because even though Droll during your spreadsheet looks like a bitch because you slap on that shit and you play around it like perfectly, Droll cutting you off of the Fire King stuff is very important in my opinion, right?
Yes, it's very important. Also about Droll is that there's a deck coming up that kind of is very is prominent enough. It's very weak against Droll at times. That's Voiceless Voice, and you kind of want Droll in your deck against that, or in your side deck somewhere against it, just to not lose to that deck. So.
Then Impermanence. What do you think about it?
I feel like that's a mandatory 3 of as well, because even though that Voiceless Voice, yeah, it kind of just like says no to this card, I still think it's mandatory because it doesn't play into TTT and TT Thrust, so, and it's just a good card. So
okay, and then we got Veiler Nibiru. Which one is the best one, Veiler or Nibiru?
Nibiru by far, but I would put Nibiru in this, maybe in the side right now, because everybody's playing around it. Voiceless Voice is playing around it. Fire Kings can play around it. Rescue Ace, they can opt to play around it if they want to. And I will put that, but I probably wouldn't use Veeler either. The card right now I'm looking at, don't get me wrong, the card I'm looking at right now is Droplets. Droplets right now is looking like it's really hot going in the format. So it does a lot.
Why?
As a breaker.
Why?
Droplets, you could it's good going second, of course, Droplets, because you can just Droplet your monsters and get rid of their opponent's inboard pieces and stuff like that. And plus it doesn't target, so you can negate their opponent's Voiceless Voice, like that ritual.
Yes, I know what the Voiceless Voice does. I also brought an article because, one second, let me do a plugin.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay.
Going about the OCG, this is my website. It's metaduelist.com, chat. You can search it out. You can go over Spicy Deck, Tournament Report, Meta Report. I write all the Meta Report by myself, and Voiceless Voice was on 25/11 of the previous month, and I also brought the different route lines of Silent Force and how do they work, and how to prepare your setup, and how to do so it's basically a sort of it's a website that includes TCG and OCG tops, and goes deep about every combo route, goes deep about the new meta decks showed, and like, if you don't care about the meta reports because you already studied the deck, you can just go on Tournament Report in order to see how the deck list, how people are adapting the deck building, and also you can look at those ugly pictures, because I don't know why the OCG doesn't just use a platform in order to post their deck list, but I have to lose my fucking eyes looking at those pictures in order to recognize the cards. But like, that's another story.
That tilts you too, huh?
Brother,
I don't
brother, they need to stop that shit. They need actually to stop that shit. I'm losing my mind every time I need to look. Bro, I'm not even joking, okay? I'm not even joking. I had to recognize cards by looking at the, like, at the dot in the text. You know, like that it's all as a dot in the text, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there were one deck profile which was showing only the dot of the card. And I had to look at every link card in order to see which one had the dots.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Look at this abomination. But like, it's kind of stylish, I have to say that, because like, if you check this out, like, it is kind of stylish, because my brother is putting in effort. Like, look at the bonfire, right? Like the triangular with the bonfire and also the fire recovery. Like, that makes sense, right? Like, what doesn't make sense in the one fucking draw, but like, we don't talk about it, we're just gonna talk the aesthetic of the deck. Anyways, but
Yeah,
please,
nice square looking.
please, if any OCG people is listening to my speech, is listening to, stop. You guys are criminal. You guys are actually criminal. Okay, anyways, we have two flex spots here, like
Okay.
two droplet.
Yeah, I love Droplet right now going into the format. Well, post Phantom Nightmare format. It's just really, really good. It's good going first. You can just set it up similar to Imperm. They try to going second. You can take out Ash, normal summon, droplets, and then you can get your Opolis and stuff like that.
Someone is arguing about the call buy, but like, I feel like call buy is super weird as a card.
It is. It's good going first, but going second, it's meh.
Yeah.
Going second, going first is really, really good.
And it's like, most of the times you're gonna play against a mirror, and if you call buy, it's like you're cutting yourself from extenders, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So I don't really
Yeah,
like call buy.
Yeah, it's not even good against the mirror, because if they set up, like, for instance, if you do a princess and set up princess in your graveyard, and then they try to set up princess in your graveyard, well, then you can't summon your princess too, because it lasts until the end of the next end phase or something like that. So it's not, it's just a weird card. Like, it's very good going first, but going second, I don't know.
Okay, someone is talking about Super Poly as a potential non-engine card, and how, like, what's your feeling about super polymerization with Garura and like Modragon?
I think Super Poly is still really, really good going into the post Phantom Nightmare format. The problem is just that we just don't have the space for the targets anymore. Like Garura,
I mean, we can find it, right? Like, we can cut the Celine package with the access code. Like,
yeah, you could do that. Yeah, you could do that. But then you only just have Garura and then Garura and then what was that? Moon Dragon. But then you don't have enough space for against the Vanadium or something like that. Because you kind of want that with Draco Quest against Vanadium or something like that. Yeah, and
okay.
I don't think it's that. I think it's still really, really good. I just don't.
You don't think it's necessary over Droplet? Droplet is more generic. That's how you feel.
Yeah, it's just more. Yeah, exactly.
And also dodging like stuff like Impermanence Veiler going second. That's also another, like, it's just another Kirin, but it's better into your opponent having Apollos on the board. I like Droplet.
Yeah, I like Droplets. It's really good going in the format. Yeah, this is something that even OCG hasn't even adapted yet. So I feel like right now it's really good. It's going to be really good. So.
Okay, and now to ruin the format even more, I would love, like, I'm gonna ruin people right now. 1 second, because now we're gonna go on a side deck option. I'm just gonna show one side deck option, and that's it, because I don't really want to build a side deck right now. So it's gonna be Fire King Avatar Kirin. Sandy Scattershot. Because, okay, we're not gonna go in deep about it, but like, it's because, okay. If you guys play tournament, you know why, but we are not gonna go over it. That's about it. So this is basically the end result of our discussion. This is the end result of your theory, like brainstorming together. And we like it's more like it's obviously 90% of your work, and it's me just like barking around. And now I'm gonna show you my version of the deck. I want you to roast me. Don't worry about it, I can handle it, okay? But before, okay, so what I'm gonna show you, before actually doing that, like I'm gonna show you my version, but I wanna change something in the extra deck, because I actually like this extra deck that like you just like brainstormed into. So the version no, it's not the version number 3, I think it's the version number 4. Yeah, it's this version of the deck. It's probably just 2 Veiler. Actually, no, to be honest, 1 nib. Instead of the nib, I can put the cold. It's not even cold buy, actually. I need to put something instead of nib. And I can cut the side deck. I don't really care about the side deck. But I want to change the extra deck, actually. I want to cut these Garunix. And actually, it has actually 1 card difference in the extra deck. Would it be the access code instead, or something else instead? Actually, is it access code? I'm not sure about it, but like
I think it was Heat Soul you took out and put in from Phoenix.
Oh, it's Soul, and actually I kind of want to, I kind of don't want to play access code, I'll be real with you, but like I want to play the Phoenix. I think I like Phoenix over access code, because I'm like, I feel like I'm going most of the time just selling into Apollos, but like I might be wrong. I will test it. I have 1 flex spot here. I actually don't know what I want to play instead. Probably I'm gonna put 1 Ibir just for fancy. But like this is what I'm trying right now. I realized myself that like the Snake Eye are the most prominent. I can put Cold by just to make happy someone. Like it's basically 13 flex spot. Can be 1 Nibiru, can be 1 Cold by, can be your mother, but like it's 1 flex spot. We don't care about it. So basically, what I was gonna do is what I theorized about is the fact that the Snake Eye engine is the most prominent stuff in the deck, and it's like the one that I want to open with. I want to open combination with. It's what I like the most. And I really thought that the 5 king cards were very bad, especially if I'm cutting on names, right? Because I'm not playing any more Baron. I cut on the number of Ponix. I cut on the number of Garonix. And if I'm playing a low amount, also the field spell gets worse. And that's also why I also added it's the second target, another Snake Eye card, which is the Divine Temple, in order to cut the redundancy. So this is basically my, like, what I theorized about. I'm not good yet at playing the deck at an optimal level, but like, theoretically speaking, this is what I went into. Like, I increased also the number of the Abella Star because plays better around the draw. Like, how would you rate these? Like, be raw to me. Like, I want you to be like, tell me if I'm cooking or I'm not cooking.
I feel you're cooking. I just don't like that that field spell, the Snake Eye field spell, but other than that, it's fine.
Also, you think the only issue in my deck is actually only the Snake Eye field spell?
Actually, 2, but
tell me.
Snake Eye field spell it in the Diabell count. You can probably do 2 for Diabell, fine. So I think you have enough, and then you can have more flex than that. But other than that, yeah.
Okay, so you think just those 2 cards and then I'm cooking?
Yeah, you're fine. You're absolutely fine.
It could be like 3 Nibirus instead. Stuff like that. Could be 3 droplets, 3 Nibiru, like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, guys, you hear the man. Like, he's happy about 97% of my deck, but he would play 3 droplet, or if you want to have more entraps, you could play 3 Nibiru. And for the rest, like, we are cooking. We're talking about the anti-nib line, right? There are 2 different routes that people are taking. One is from, like, they are bought from China.
They
But
both actually are. So
yeah, they both are actually are from players in China. And let's explain both the routes before closing up the video. Then for the other combos, guys, I am gonna pin in the video in the comment section the spreadsheet with the introduction, Ponyx normal summon, Diabella surplus end, Ash normal summon, Bonfire, Populus, Arbata, and how it works against Entrops. Don't worry about it. You're gonna have everything ready for you in order to test and learn the different routes. But I wanna have a discussion about just the Nibiru line because it's something that I wanna try to find the optimal route, if that makes sense. So the route that you are doing. Okay, so let's talk about the route that you are doing, and then we're gonna talk about the other route. The first route is normal summon Ash, add Populus, special summon Populus, Populus effect, search for the Snake Eye. Then you use Ash here, right?
no. In fact, you just go into Link Rebo. Populous. You don't use Ash here. You go straight into Link Rebo. If you're talking about the line I'm using.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. So Populus, this here, and then you go Sinful Spoil, or you go Ash right now.
Yes.
No, which one do you use? You use like the Snake Eye, or you go Ash?
Oh, you use the spell. You use the spell and get rid of Populous.
Okay, so we use the spell. We get rid of it. We summon Ponyx.
Yeah, you go straight into Ponyx here.
Yeah, Ponyx
and you
gets.
set up your island and Sank.
Then we use the Sanctuary. We put the island. Okay, now do you go Snake Eye Ash now?
Yeah, so you do Snake Eye Ash and you get rid of Sank here.
Okay, and that's also the reason of, and like I think you summon directly the Flamberge because I don't think the Oak has any value in this situation.
Yeah, Oak. Yeah, it has no value in it at all. But you go straight into.
Okay, so now we use the Flamberge effect, right?
No, you don't use it at all. You go straight into Island's effect by popping Ponyx and go into Garnix.
Okay. So we go pop these, add Garonix. Garonix effect. And Garonix sends what?
Arvada. It has to be Arvada.
Okay, and then Arvada effect in order to reborn the Ponyx.
Yeah.
And now
you go straight into Princess here by linking Link Rebo, Garnix, and yeah.
Okay, and this is.
That's right there. Let me just talk about it. Right here is like the choke point against Nibiru. If they're going to nib, this is going to be the last opportunity for them to do so. And then at this point afterwards, they won't be able to do so. So if they're going to nib, they're going to be nibbing right here. But even then, you can still set up a moderately good board if they do nib here. So yeah, now after this, Princess summons Arvada.
Okay, and then after that we can just go Ambler Whale, right?
Yeah, Ambler Whale, and then you set up Ip as well afterwards.
You can just go Ambler Whale, and after we go Ambler Whale, you can just use. I mean, don't you want to use just Flamberge in order to put something in the spell and traps or no?
You could, but you're not going to be some special summoning back because Flamberge's in the graveyard at that point. So, like, what are you going to be special summoning back?
That's probably
but if you're, but if your opponent does have like a monster in the graveyard, make sure you use Flamberge and put it in their ST zone. That way, it stops them from using Imperm. Like some retroactive Imperm they top deck. So.
Oh, that's a very good technical play right there.
Yeah, it stops them from using Imperm or evenly or some bullshit, so like that. So excuse my language.
No, don't worry about it. I swear a lot, but that's broken. That's actually broken. I mean, the more you know, the more you learn. Thank you. That was an insane line. Thank you. So this is like the standard line in order to play around Nibiru, right? Like the one that
Yeah.
now people are doing.
Yeah, that's the one that people are doing now. This is the one I found off Twitter. It was just like I found it like a couple of weeks ago. It was somebody from Japan, I think. They posted off Twitter. I'm like, hey, that was kind of interesting. Let me put that in my guide. And then there you go.
Okay, now the other one instead is the one with Apollosa, but we are also gonna talk about the pro and cons about going into Apollosa line, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Apollosa line instead, Snake Eye Ash or Bonfire into Snake Eye Ash, normal summon Snake Eye Ash. Go into Populus effect is gonna add the original Sinful Spoil. And now I think you use Snake Eye Ash, right? Thank you, Starboy. So it's Snake Eye Ash, Tribute Populus, and I think you summon the...
Oak.
I think you summon Oak here. And it's gonna be Chilling 1, Chilling 2 Populus. And you summon back the Snake Eye Ash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Then, if I remember correctly, you go into Flamberg with Oak here.
Okay, but I attribute the Populus, right? I have to.
Yeah, you have to use the Populous.
Okay, so I go Oak, tribute the Populus,
Mm.
and I have to use Flamberge to put back the Snake Eye in the spell interrupt zone.
Yeah, you have to use it early, so that's the thing about this line. You have to use Flamberg early.
Okay, and
the other
now...
line you don't need to. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
And now we go into Sunlight Wolf, I believe.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And now we use the effect of Flamberge in order to special summon both. One under the wolf. And then we use wolf effect in order to add back to our end the Flamberge.
Mm-hmm.
And now we turn one of those guys into... Could it be like, should it be Linkuribo into
If you're
the...
going, yeah. Yeah, if you have Heat Cell in your extra deck, yes, you do have to go Link Rebo to get Heat Cell out. But if you don't, you can just go straight into Appaloosa.
Okay, so would it be for the line that we're talking about? Would it be Eat Soul, draw one card, and then Apollosa by 2? So would it be Bomb, go this, draw one card, paying 1000, and then you would go for an Apollosa by 2.
Yes.
And after we reach the Apollosa line, we can go original, send, summon the Ponyx effect, get into Sanctuary Highland, and now I think you go Island effect, pop,
Mm-hmm.
you add the Garonix.
Actually,
no, you do
forgot
it.
to do-
No.
you forgot.
You go
Okay,
Chilling
go
1
ahead.
Garonix, Chilling 2 Linkuribo. And then you summon Garonix effect. And you send, I think it's Arbata, that's what they told me. And then you go Arbata effect to revive. And then you use those 3, right, to go into the Promethean effect, summon back Arbata, right? That's the combo.
Mm-hmm.
Did I miss anything?
You forgot to go to Amblow at the end.
Use those 2 to go Amblow. That's it, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's the other combo. Yeah.
Talking about the downside of this combo. The downside of this combo is triple tactical talent, right? Like triple tactical talent, taking up Apollosa is like game.
Mm-hmm.
While in the routes in which only involve having the Amphibious and the Arbata, it's not game.
Yeah,
Talent is not game. It's like okay, I would say. Like you can play much better because you're gonna have Arvata in your hand, you're gonna have Arvata on the board, and you're gonna have the Flamberge for Arvata, right? And also you have Ambler Whale and Bestower, so they are two different kinds of floaters. And by making Apollosa and your opponent taking with talent Apollosa, like you actually disrupt yourself entirely, while by not making Apollosa, you can actually play better into your opponent board breakers.
Yeah.
Okay, while and now let's talk about the other points of the deck. So talking about the other points of the deck is still talking about those two combos basically. So the first combo that we were talking about is how do they interact through Nibiru? Because we showed the full combo, right? But what happens if we actually get Nibiru? Now, the line that goes into Apollosa, like if you actually get Nibiru, it is actually much better. Why? Now, here your opponent is supposed to Nibiru. Why it is supposed to Nibiru? Because if your opponent doesn't Nibiru, you just get a Linkuribo for free in the graveyard. And like you don't want to actually give your opponent a Linkuribo for free in the graveyard. If that makes sense. So, like, if your opponent waits instead, you just get a free draw, right? Because we're gonna go Link 3, draw 1 into Apollosa. So, like, the most optimal spot here is to Nibiru now. So, let's assume the most optimal, like, line in which your opponent actually does Nibiru you now. So, you get a Nibiru, but now it's actually very good here. Why? Because you go this and the Populous, go Ponyx, Ponyx into the Sanctuary into Highland, and now you go, I guess you have to go Linkuribo now, but you still are gonna go Linkuribo at some point, and then you can go Highland, pop the Flamberge, and then you go Garunix. Or you can actually pop directly the Ponyx. Do you pop the Ponyx or do you pop the Flamberge? Might actually just not be... I am not sure, actually.
You could pop the... Yeah, at that point, you could pop the Ponyx, actually, because you have that monster on the board. Token. And you can keep Flamberg in your hand.
But like, then... But I'm not popping... Like, I'm not popping from my deck Arvata.
No, you're popping Hycurion at that point, so you can get rid of the opponent's Nibiru.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yeah, by popping Ponyx here, you go Sacred Garnix, and then Sacred Garnix, you pop Hycurion from your deck, and then Hycurion, you special summon back that Ponyx from the graveyard.
No, but yeah, but like, you are not going for Arvata, which means that you actually utilizing the Flamberge at that point? Like...
You could... No, actually, it just stays in your hand at the entire point, because your opponent Nibiru right there at that point, so Flamberg stays in your hand. You don't need to use it at all.
Okay, so at that point, like, isn't it better just to have a Linkuribo more on the board? That might be used as Link Fodder. That's what I'm thinking about right now.
Well, if you put Linkuribo on your board afterwards, then you have to use the Flamberg in your hand to pop.
Yes. But I'm not gonna utilize anyways the Flamberg, right? So it's like, do I really need... Like, might as well just extend as much as possible. That's what I'm thinking right now.
Well, the thing is, though, is that if you, during your opponent's turn, if you get like Arvata or Hycurion in your hand, you might want to keep your Flamberg in your hand. That way you can float into 2 level 1s during your opponent's turn.
Yeah, okay, but that works if I have Kirin.
If you have Hycurion or Arvata or some way to put Flamberg in the graveyard during your opponent's turn, so... Yeah, I value having Flamberg in my hand. If I have Flamberg in my hand and I don't need to use it, I'll keep it in my hand at that point. So that way I can always float into 2 level 1s during my opponent's turn. If you're trying to see what I'm trying to say.
No, I see what you're trying to say. But in a vacuum right now, I think I should pop the Flamberge because I don't have any other way to extend it.
If you want to put Link Kariba in your graveyard, yeah, you will have to do that. But if you don't want to, you can just pop Ponyx.
Okay, I'm gonna try to go for popping Ponyx.
Okay.
But like, I wanna see if actually the extra monster on the board is gonna make a difference. Right? Like, we need to see if it actually makes a difference.
Okay,
So
go
it's
for
gonna
it.
be this. Going into Garonix. Garonix pops the Kirin. Kirin summons back Ponyx and you pop the Nibiru at this point by using Kirin effect. So this Nibiru is not anymore on the board. And now we can actually just, like, we have to use those two in order to make IP and use those two in order to make Bestower. And then Bestower summons back.
Mm,
You see?
yeah, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, now you don't have really anything that good to summon.
But
off
also there is
of.
another thing, right? Because we already used, like, we used the Sunlight Wolf, which means that if we add back the Flamberge using Sunlight Wolf, you cannot use, you cannot special summon Flamberge.
During your, if you add back Flamberg with Sunlight Wolf, you just can't special summon during the rest of that turn.
Yes.
Oh, but you could, yeah, but you could still use it like during your opponent's turn.
No,
Yeah,
what I'm
back
saying is,
Flamberg during.
what I'm saying is, yeah, okay, so if I keep the Link Uribo, right, as I
Yeah,
was saying
yeah.
before, it
Yeah, let's
actually
go ahead and
matters.
see that. Yeah, it's,
Okay, so it would be, we had a token, we had Flamberge in hand, and we are using right now the island. So it would be going Link Uribo. Now we use island, we pop the Flamberge, and now we go Garonix, send Kirin, pop Kirin, Kirin effect, summon back, pop the Nibiru. And I feel like we are in a better spot. Because now we can, I think you still go for IP, I guess. Like, you go IP. I use those two. Make the Bestower. And now we go Bestower, summon something. What would it be in this situation, I think? Like, what would it be?
I will probably put. I will probably put Flamberg back on the field.
You cannot.
Oh,
because
you
we
can't
have-
do that because you Flamberg. No, you can't do that. So in this situation, pop then I guess. Like there's not much you can do right there. Pop or you know what? Or you could put Sunlight Wolf. That way, if you it sinks where he's still on the field, you could you know, potentially add something to your hand. If you're trying to see what I'm saying.
Okay, so at that point we don't need the extra body. We're just gonna end on whale anyways.
Yeah.
But we still need the IP. Actually, no, you might need the extra body cause you can reborn IP. No, you cannot cause of Promethean Princess, right? Damn.
Yeah. You could summon what Wolf back. It's right there.
Okay, summon Wolf back. Maybe we can summon Wolf back here. Keep this in the graveyard. It's actually nice, right? Because we're gonna get an ad back anyways.
Yeah, you get your ad back, and then thing is though, like, would you be able to set up for Sacred Garnix there? For instance, if you pop also hold up. You don't have any way to pop your Amblowell minus Princess.
Yeah, that's the issue.
So that's the issue. So you don't have no fire in your graveyard, a link to special summon back. because once Princess is on board, you want to need a fire link.
Okay, so it has to be Sunlight
yeah.
Wolf.
Sunlight Wolf has to stay in your graveyard then at that point. So then, I guess right now your best option might be yeah. Why not just bring back High Kieran?
Bring back Hykerin.
Yes.
Oh, because I
That
can
way
pop it with the Bestower.
Well, you can pop Ambler with Bestower, and then Sacred Garnix with some back, and then you will have 2 Fire Kings on the board for Sanctuary.
So, like, the Kirin might be nice, because if you summon back the Kirin, then the Promethean Princess pop in the Kirin floats, right? Or am I tripping?
Yeah. Yeah, it'll float.
And then you get also a Garonix. I like this. I like this, because yeah, that makes sense actually. I think in this line Reborn and the Kirin. But now let's talk about the other line, right? The line that like the one with the Promethean Princess that that tries to go into the elephant. Beginning of this one. Okay. Oh yeah, ideally not Ponyx. Alright. Oh, so you also analyze the situation in which you actually get Nibiru?
Yeah,
Okay.
At various points of the stage, at least during this line. I haven't did the underline yet, but...
Okay. Okay, you got Onyx, send Arbata. Now after you summon back. Oh wait. You went IP.
Yeah, IP's already set up in the graveyard.
Okay. But you cannot make Bestower because the Nibiru token is a non-effect monster.
Nah, you're correct about that.
It's
I think
okay. Just like change the IP
yeah,
for that situation. We just make IP before going Bestower. So it's fine. And then you go Bestower effect, summon back the Flamberge. And now we can use the Flamberge on Nibiru because we did not use it before. Then you go Umbla Whale. And then after that we can analyze the...
I think I'm probably... Yeah.
Okay, so in this situation...
there's nothing in the graveyard. I'm probably messed up on the thing, but...
It's okay. Okay, so we summon those 2 back. In this situation we get IP. We go IP using this and the token. IP into the second Bestower, as I was saying before. You go second Bestower to summon the Snake Eye, and then the Snake Eye put back the Nibiru in the spell and trap zone because we did not use the effect previously. Now they use those 2 to make Umbla Whale, but this one ends only on Umbla Whale, while the other one actually pops off. You feel me? So I feel like Apollousa is wrong to end with. Like, generally speaking, I don't think I would end on Apollousa. I feel like if I'm going for the Bestower line to threat the Arbata, or actually before, like actually threatening the Apollousa before, I feel like people are always gonna Nibiru you before. And maybe then you can decide if you want actually Apollousa or not. But I think actually going Apollousa into talent is such a weird threat. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Someone also in the chat says that if you threat the Apollousa, like the threat alone is gonna force the Nibiru against a good player. So most of the time you're gonna go Umbla Whale anyways. But like generally speaking, like if you wanna really be safe, you're gonna go for Apollousa. But in a vacuum, probably just Umbla Whale is better into Board Breakers. Well, I guess this concludes actually the discussion that we are having, and like I guess this is the end of our entire discussion. I'm sorry, like if I like if like we went super deep this time.
Yeah.
So I hope you enjoyed
uh,
it because I enjoyed this a lot. Like I actually love those kind of contents, those kind of discussion. Like this makes me feel alive. I love your work. I hope people on YouTube are gonna enjoy your work as well because you did so much for the community. Like you actually did a lot for the community, and I'm speechless. I am speechless because the work that you put in is amazing.
Thank
So
you. Yeah, I'm planning to do a one for Snake Eye Pure too as well, but and that's after until I get finished with this Fire King one. So
Mario, thank you for your time. I really enjoyed
yeah,
my time with you.
I
And
enjoyed my time with you too. I appreciate it.
oh, Le, thank you, brother.
You're welcome. If you have any questions, just reach out to me. So I'm right here on the FK Discord or Facebook. So
Okay, so you heard the man itself, Mario, the one who created the Fire King spreadsheet. I went through the spreadsheet. I find it amazing. I yet to suggest it to my chat, and I also like this is gonna be a 2-hour video. So MBT Team APS. Let's see how many views I'm gonna get this time.
okay.
Say that, I wish you guys a wonderful day and see you next time.